folks, it's mid-April. It doesn't look like it, but the weather has changed. We've had possibly 3-4 weeks of -4, -5 in the evenings. We've had snow around abouts, not here but around abouts. We've had hard frosts every morning here. I have lost plants. It has been horrendous, but this week things seem to be turning, and it was actually gloriously sunny yesterday, so this video should have got done yesterday, but I didn't want to be doing garden chores yesterday, so I sat in the sun and enjoyed it instead. Well, actually, I cleaned out the greenhouse and got it organised first. But there's more chores to be done, so that means it's time for the April garden tour / all the jobs I'm getting done / update on everything video that we do every month. So let's do April. Well, I know you want in the greenhouse, but you'll have to wait. We've got a way we do this. So of course, the running joke when we do these monthly updates is that this is short meadow. So Kate's awesome sketch, so I'll keep you updated on the different bits of the garden as we go. So our spring bulbs are looking totally amazing, and I'll show you them all in a second, but they all come up at different times. So one of the jobs I need to do this week is I need to deadhead my daffodils, because you have to make a decision with your daffodils and your bulbs and things. If I leave these flowers, you see these little bumps behind the flowers? That's their seed pods. So they'll go to seed and they'll focus all their energy in making those seeds, distributing those seeds. What I want is for them to focus all their energy on the bulb so that it strengthens the bulb for next year and I get a really good display again next year. So I'm not going to cut back all of the leaves. This is one of the things I have learned over the years. You need to leave the leaves, because they need to produce the energy. They need to photosynthesize and produce the energy for the plant that goes into the bulb. But I don't want these dead flowers and these seed heads, so they're all coming off. So the fence bed or the walled garden, depending on my mood, I'm quite chuffed. So this is relatively new in that we extended it last season, so it's a lot of new planting that's in there and it's starting to come up and fill in really nicely. The other big thing that happened was that the tree came down in a storm. The tree had been damaged and got infected and had been dying for a long time, but it's now fully come down, and we think that is making a difference, because these two schemia that you can see here have never looked so amazing. So we're wondering if it's because they're not fighting with the tree anymore. But yeah, so in this bed then, mostly at the minute, we've focused on the kind of smaller bedding plant type idea towards the front, because that was the very, very bare section. Over winter we had the cyclamen in there to give it a little bit of colour, so the flowers have gone in them, but the leaves are still there and looking awesome. But we've got all these little pops of colour from kind of primula, anemones, pansies and good old viola. You can always rely on viola. But it's all looking awesome, and come the end of summer we've got crocosmia in here that will come out further at the end of summer, and that I love those. I've got the lucifer here, which are the red, and I've got the little orange ones at the back, which I absolutely love. But one of the things I want to update you on, I'm going to bring you over here. It is this messy pile of twigs. This is the Salvia, which you guys watched me move from the herb planter and bring it over last season. We said then it was going to be a risk because it was the wrong time of year to be doing it, but it was a wrong plant in the wrong space. It was far too big for where I'd planted it, and that was my fault for not understanding what the plant was. It has looked quite sorry, but I have to say there is new growth starting to appear on it. So it's not the neatest or the nicest at the moment, but I'm going to leave it. Let's see how it goes. It might need a little bit of pruning and tidying, but I am just glad to see it's coming back, because these tend not to be hardy here in the Scottish climate. Even though in other places they tend to get hammered by the frosts in the winters here and get killed off, so I'm feeling quite lucky. And of course, you guys watched us build this new bed. We replaced a much smaller bed and put in this much bigger railway sleeper raised bed deliberately because we wanted that depth of bed. Whenever I say about you guys have seen us, I will link the videos up on the top left, and I'll put them in the description below the video, so you can go back and catch up. But the reason we did this was for these two trees, these two prunus trees. They had been in pots for a couple of seasons, and the first season they were beautiful, amazing. Second season we got lots of gorgeous blossom, but then all the blossom and the leaves died and the trees were just bare for the rest of the season. So like any good gardener, you say, right, I'll give it a chance, we'll move it, we'll try and fix things, we'll see how it goes. Again, we've had the most amazing gorgeous blossom, and this one is still looking amazing. Lots of leaves, looking really good. This one, however, is starting to scare me a little bit. So as you can see then, the blossom is passing, which is normal and okay for this time of year, but some of the upper branches, in fact some of the upper parts of branches, you can see that the leaves are starting to wither. And it could be that the bits underneath are fantastic, but you get to the top and it's all starting to wither. So I'm a bit worried that we might see this go again this year, and I'm absolutely gutted. But I don't know what it is, I don't know what's causing it, so it's going to take a wee bit of investigation. The other tree, however, is still looking awesome and strong, so that's just chuffy. The Acer took a little bit of frost damage, so some of its little delicate leaves have been burnt, but other than that, it's looking brilliant, it's looking really strong. It did get a bit of a prune last year just to try and rein it in a bit because it had all kind of gone a bit funny. But it is looking brilliant and I'm really happy. And the thing is, we find now with the way this bed is, we can see it, because before it was in between the two huge phormium and they were pretty much dominating this bed, and the wee Acer was just in between them getting hidden. So he's coming into his own now. Hopefully next year maybe we'll see him really go, and he might be as beautiful as the one that's out in the front. The thing is with this bed, it's by no means finished. I've dotted around a few little bits and pieces to give it some colour, but it's going to take a while. When you've got a bed this size, it can take a couple of seasons to really get it feeling like, yep, that's what we meant. So in here, as always, I've got some Aubrietia because we love them. They are amazing for ground cover, they will just spread beautifully. I've got some Mimulus or Mims. Again, I absolutely adore them. They get called monkey flowers because they've got the flowers look like wee monkey faces. And also Dianthus, we love our Dianthus, our Aqualesia, but we also have two Clematis in here, which, fingers crossed, we had to rescue quite a few of the branches because they'd gone through the fence and stuff, and I'm a bit worried that I've broken some of them, so we're just fingers crossed till we see how this does, because normally come May, this is beautiful with white flowers. So in the May update, we'll see how that looks. Right, I'm going to do a bit of a change of tact now, and I'm going to take you out the front garden. You don't get to go there very often. You don't get to see out here very often because it's kind of out and it's public in the front of the house, and I feel a bit weird because it's like I'm invading someone else's privacy almost. But the Rockery is looking stupendous at the moment. This really comes into its own kind of, yeah, mostly April, sometimes into the mid-May kind of point, and the rest of the year it's not as colourful as this, so I thought I had to show you it. It is looking fantastic. It is full of saxifrage and Dianthus, and we've got rock rose and heather and loads of alpines, and it is just beautiful. So I just wanted to show off, but also last year, way last year, sort of winter time, we did a video where we were sowing all our spring bulbs because we are so lucky, and Pete and Ben over at Dutch Grown gave us loads and loads of bulbs to try out. Again, link up there and in the description if you want to go and find out more about them. But oh, we are so chuffed. The garden is just full of the most gorgeous tulips like this, and we are so chuffed. It just looks beautiful. There's some out the back as well, but this is my favourite bit. But the best bit is there's still more to come because we've got more tulips and alliums and things to come as well. So I am so excited. But again, I had to show you because basically I'm kind of showing off at the minute. I feel like I've got something to show off. The last thing I'm going to show you out here quickly is the Acer I mentioned. It's quite special and it's got quite a special place to us. So I'm going to show you that. If you want to know the story, you're going to have to ask Kate though, because it's her story. But it's called Umi. So we're now in the shrubbery. But it's just so that I can show you Umi, our Japanese Acer. She's not quite there yet. Give it a couple of weeks and she is just going to be a flame. She's just amazing. She gets these big, wide, palm-like red leaves, and that's south, so she catches the light amazing. She just looks like she's on fire. It's absolutely stunning. And it's funny to think back to when we started this garden, and she was basically a stick. Look at her now. So yeah, okay. I do have the most amazing update for you here though. So do you remember the Living Soil kit? We basically, Kate built as a new planter and I filled it with the Living Soil kit that came from Green Hand Organics. Right, there was something in that video I didn't tell you guys. But there was a reason that I used it here rather than the veggie bed and things. And I told you it's because this is probably the most hospitable part of our gardens. It is south facing with nothing to shade it. It gets baked constantly all the time. It gets hammered by the winds because we're in a real open bit of Scotland here, and basically it's all farmland around us and we get hit by the winds, and then it's the coast on that side. But the thing with this is it's been great every year and it looks fantastic, and we've had berries every year, but it's never ever flowered. Ever. This year is the first time it's ever flowered. On one hand, I'm so excited, and also it's quite exciting to be able to say, right, okay, there is something in those Living Soil kits that have made a difference and this little guy's happy. But on the other hand, the flowers are just really disappointing. All of that effort and excitement, and I'm kind of disappointed. And I feel guilty. So, with that little bit of excitement over, let's hit the vegetable garden and I'll give you an update on all of that. Gratuitous tulip shot. I am so chuffed. So you guys know already that I'm currently using this bed for hardening off. So I've got various bits and pieces of the hardier of my flowers and things in here before they go and get put into their final place, sort of probably over in the fence bed and the bed at the bottom of the garden. And then this will be where the courgettes go. So you know about that, so I'm not going to focus too much on that. What I'm going to do is give you some cool updates on the carrots, the blueberries, the blackberries. Sound good? Just going to move this. The blueberries is actually the hardest thing for me to give you guys an update on because there's just no space here. But we spoke about this. Again, I'm just going to list so many videos in the description below for you guys. But I did well with the blueberries the first year and then I totally neglected them. So they've been really quite poorly for a bit. But I said I was going to pay special attention. So I have been slowly building up the acidity of the soil again. I've been top dressing with ericaceous compost and what have you, and I've been fertilising them, and they are starting to look fantastic. I've got so many buds on here, it's all looking brilliant. It really needs a prune because there are lots of crossing branches and things that really you shouldn't have, but I'm not going to do it this year. I'm just going to let it settle and get sorted again. But yeah, fingers crossed, it's looking good. So yep, it's another tight shot, but blackberries. Now, we've had black currants and red currants here. They did really well. Scotland generally is awesome for soft fruit, but we discovered that we don't particularly like red currants and black currants. So I've given the neighbour those, and these are blackberries. So we've got Loch Tay and Loch Ness, which are both thornless cultivars that have been bred specifically for this kind of climate. So I'm quite excited. Now, if you've never grown soft fruit, when you buy it, it comes as a single cane, so it takes a wee bit of time. You have to be kind of patient. But yeah, we will see how these go. At least it's got leaves on it now. I'm happy. I was going to do the carrots now, but I'm thinking, should I do strawberries because that's soft fruit? Yeah, let's do strawberries, then carrots, then peas, and then greenhouse. Oh look, tulips. So this little corner is the strawberry planters that we built out of some free pallets. So what we did then, we decided we moved the strawberries from this bed where they have always been, because we wanted this for growing peas and beans. And we needed somewhere else to put the strawberries, but this garden's actually not that big and I am actually really struggling for space. So we thought, make use of the vertical space because we've got these fences all the way around the garden. So we built this with some free pallets that a neighbour gave us, and each little pocket area here has got 3 plants in it. So a bit of an update on how it's doing then, because this is relatively new, months new even. So bringing you into this side then, we've got 3 different types of strawberries in the planter, and this side we've got Everbearer Albion. Now Everbearer are the most common type of strawberries we grow here in the UK, and it's generally in reference to when they fruit. So these guys usually are fruiting by about the end of June. You can also get a couple of flushes of fruit on these, so they're quite prolific. But these are Everbearer Albion and they are looking fantastic and full, and I've actually had a couple of wee flowers and some fruit starting to form. Whether it survived the frost is another thing. So these were the biggest of the bare root plants that I bought. The other type I've got is the pineberry. And the pineberry is the white strawberries that taste like pineapple that I said I was trying for a bit of fun this year. Now they are coming on okay. They were much smaller when I bought them, but they're starting to perk up a little bit now, so we'll see how they go. But the other one I got a little bit later, and they're called Sweetheart, and they're in this top row. They're not doing great. It's a bit hard to fill them up here, so I'm going to get my mug out of the way. This top row here is Sweetheart. And I deliberately got these because they had really cute little red flowers. So as you can see, they're not doing great. They're not dead, they're just not doing as well as the other plants, so we're just going to have to wait and see. But in general, the strawberries are doing fine. They're surviving away, and I think that was why I got asked for an update, because I think a lot of you guys worry about the strawberries and the frost and the winter weather and things. So let me just reassure you, I do not bring my strawberries in for the winter. They're out all year because the strawberries are actually pretty hardy. There's 2 parts to the plant that you need to think about, and the leaves, yes, the leaves will all get burnt by the frost and killed off by the winter. They'll go brown and dry up and look horrible, but you don't need to panic. It's the little hearts that are the important bit, and those are usually quite deep under the soil and protected. Come the spring temperatures, those little strawberry hearts will suddenly spring back into life and start producing new leaves, like you can see. So honestly, do not worry about your strawberries. If you haven't planted them out yet, start hardening them off and get them out, because you want them to be outside so that you'll get the best harvests. And I'm saying harden them off because if you've got them indoors, they're not going to be ready to go outside. They'll be a wee bit, well, officially we'll say tender, but they're going to be a little bit wimpy, and you're going to have to butch them up a bit before they'll survive. So generally for next year, don't take your strawberries indoors if you're in this type of climate. They'll be fine. Okay, carrots. The carrots will lead us brilliantly into the greenhouse, because then we're going to go and look at the carrots in the greenhouse and stuff as well. You know what I mean? And just on a fun note, any of you guys who follow us on social media will know the story of the beetroot and the peas. Basically, peas are looking awesome, aren't they? This is my second lot. I originally sowed my beetroot and my peas in this bed, and all the wee birds that visit us saw this and thought, awesome, brilliant nesting material. And we had a female blackbird who was basically coming and nicking straw, but she was making such a mess while she was doing it. We actually thought it had been foxes digging in the bed. Basically, I got up one morning to find this bed completely trashed. All of the plants were gone. Huge big holes in the bed. And it was only because later on, a couple of days later, I actually saw the blackbird doing it that I was like, couldn't believe the mess they had made. They seem happy now, they're leaving it alone now, they've got what they wanted for their nests. But yeah, so the peas are looking great, but this is my second lot. I've still got beans to put in here, but I need to sow them because I haven't sown them yet. But when I'm doing all that, I will talk to you about the different types of supports, because peas and beans need different types. Right, carrots. It's handy because it's just here. And of course, the astute amongst you will notice the poor man's polytunnel. This is just a complete experiment. I didn't need to do this. These carrots and garlic have been out in this bed the whole time. I just thought it'd be fun to try. This is just my normal raised bed frames with a net on them. And then Kate and I just went a bit mad with some cellophane, or cling film we call it here, around it, just to see if it makes a difference. It's just daftness. What it did do was it gave me a wee warm spot where I could put things when it was frosty. So that was quite cool. But come on in then and I'll show you the carrots. So of course, again, carrot update. Check out the video above and in the description. We're doing a whole experiment with growing carrots in containers that I started off in the greenhouse. So what I've got is I've still got 2 pots of the carrot seedlings that I took from the root trainer, and they're still in the greenhouse, so I'll show you them in a second, because I've also got carrots in the actual bed here, and it is from the same root trainers, the same seedlings. So it's really interesting to see the difference, because they're both doing great, but the ones that are in the greenhouse are so much further on. But also I sowed these 2 pots with actual seeds at the same time, so we've got little tiny seedlings in these 2 pots as well, which are doing okay. But the carrots in the beds are actually looking really strong and really good. I'm so chuffed. They just look so, I'm going to say it again, they look so strong and healthy and thick and lush. They just look amazing. I'm really chuffed. The seedlings in these 2 pots is a different story. They've come on differently at different sizes, so let me show you. I would love to be able to tell you which one is which. However, the fantastic little plant labels that I put in here are now blank, because one of the things I've learned is that the purple pen I was using to write them fades very quickly in sunlight. The black pen's the best one. So yeah, so these ones, as you can see, are looking really good. Not as big as the ones that had been seedlings already, obviously. But if I should go over this way, this one, these are much smaller. So you can see that there, they're just much, much smaller. So let's go and look at the carrots in the greenhouse then, the equivalent. Right, okay, I'm going to start this segment with an editorial, as they would say in the newspapers. Basically, it's just a confession for me. I made a bit of a joke in a video a few weeks ago, the whole carrots in the containers thing. There's another YouTuber that I absolutely love, and we chat away to each other, and he's a total inspiration to me, and that's Ronald Shaw, and he's got a YouTube channel called Ronald Shaw Car Park Growing Area. This guy is amazing. You need to go and see it. This guy only grows in containers, pots, raised beds in a concrete car park. And his harvests are unbelievable. This guy grows some amount, and the stuff he grows is beautiful. He grows his carrots in containers, and he encouraged me, and he told me that I would definitely be able to do this, it would work. And he said I would have carrots at the end of April. I had a bit of a joke with him in a video a few weeks ago, and I called him a big fat liar. And a few weeks ago I was showing you in the video, there was no way I was going to have nice eatable carrots at the end of April. He very rightly pointed out that I had called him a big fat liar on false circumstances, because he said I would have carrots at the end of April. However, he specified what size they were, he could not comment on. So fair dues, Ronald, you were absolutely right. But in the spirit of that, I'm going to go, oh my god, I've got carrots and it's not even the end of April. Right, they're not huge. They're not going to be massive chompable carrots, but I have definitely got tiny little baby carrots. The kind of carrots that you actually pay extra for in Tesco because they're all small and perfect and you put them on the plate whole. So Ronald, cheers mate for encouraging me, because I just would not have done this without your encouragement. So the carrots in the greenhouse in a container are blooming awesome. I can't wait to see how they go. Okay, there's another update for in here then. Massive changes in the greenhouse, apart from the fact that I've currently got it set up to have my tomatoes in the quad grows and my bell peppers in the quad grows, okay? You saw me do this in last week's video when I did the whole DIY self-watering pot thing, but the reason I can do this now is because of the big change in here, and that is basically that we got power installed in our greenhouse, okay? I haven't done a video about getting the electricity installed in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just have a wee chat with you guys in another video, just a chat about my experiences, what it was like getting it installed, what you can expect and stuff. I'm not going to go into the actual legalities and the how to install and all that kind of thing, because it's actually different in all the different countries, so I'm not going to go into that, but I will talk to you about what it's like to go through the process and what it's like having power in your greenhouse, basically, because it's new for me and it's going to take me time to get to know what it's like. But it does mean that all the tomatoes and peppers that I had sown indoors and was keeping under a heat mat are now out in the greenhouse, because I can heat this overnight so that they're not getting damaged by frost and that kind of thing. I'm not sure if it's really going to help me. I've got a lot of trusses on my tomatoes, but I don't think they'll set fruit yet because it's not warm enough during the night for them to actually set, because they need to be about 15°C overnight for them to actually set fruit. So we'll see. But they're looking really healthy and strong, nice thick stems. I'm really quite chuffed with it. And the same with the peppers. I'm starting to get flower buds on the peppers and they're looking really good. So generally, it's made a difference in that I can bring things out of the house and put them in here now. So that's awesome. But this is me set up for summer, and I've got some little plants that are still going. They would normally be in my big capillary beds, as you guys know, but because I can't have the quad grows up and the capillary beds, these are on the shelves, and I'm just going to have to be extra vigilant and keep an eye on them. But it is all looking awesome. Like I said, the tomatoes are actually getting trusses on them now, and they're all looking fantastic and strong and upright. So I've got my Roma, which is a bush or an indeterminate variety, so it will not get huge, tall and hit the ceiling. In other years I've grown this and they've got to about 4 foot tall, They're quite a small tomato plant. Little plums, little sort of cherry-sized plum tomatoes, which is fab. The other ones are Gardener's Delight and Golden Sunrise, which I'm growing this year because they are really commonly recommended to new gardeners. So I thought I would grow them so that you guys can see what's happening with mine and compare them to yours, and that way if I run into any issues we can talk about it. So that's why I'm growing those this year. I keep getting told how gorgeous sun gold is, but I have actually grown these varieties before, and I'm now thinking, if they're so amazing, why didn't I keep growing them? So this will be a whole experiment of discovery for all of us. Yeah. And I've got the mulch caps on the quad grow, but my quad grow is an old one, so it doesn't have the space for the canes in the bottom. So I've got that fastened with some gaffer tape and just a little bit of string to help keep the tomatoes upright. But yeah, but the other things that are going on in here then is so I've got all my little potted on sunflowers. The sunflowers have been so successful. Have I got any on this side to show you? Yeah, I've got loads. I've still got more. I've planted more and I've still got more that I'll need to get potted up. But I have found the dwarf sunflowers. I'm thirsty, sorry. The dwarf sunflowers seem to have done the best. They've germinated at a much higher rate. But my evening sun was a pack of seeds from a few years ago. So to be fair, they probably weren't all that viable. So what I did, because I didn't get many of them, is I went and I bought some sunflowers so that I would have more big tall sunflowers. So I couldn't get even sun, but I did manage to find red sun, and they're quite nice. So I'm going to sew up some of these just so that I've got a mix of sizes. But really funny thing with this, like I say, I couldn't get evening sun, but this morning, it's Sunday morning, I went and I got kind of like croissants and stuff for breakfast, the Sunday papers, and I just picked up a couple of garden magazines just for fun. You know, the ones that do all the hundreds of free seeds that you don't need? Well, this month's Gardener's World magazine, would you believe, has got evening sun sunflowers. So if you want to try growing the evening sun sunflowers with me, this month's Gardener's World has got free seeds. Yeah, so what else have I got as an update for you? Well, courgettes are looking fantastic. I'm a wee bit worried this year because I'm not sure where the hell I'm going to put all these courgettes. I can get 2 in one of the raised beds, and then usually I have a third in a pot, but I'm not sure I've got anywhere to put a pot now. I need a bigger garden. Really starting to struggle. Naturally JB, marigolds, smug face. You want some? If you guys are wanting some more gardening stuff for today, if you're not finished yet, go and watch JB, Naturally JB, okay? You guys have heard me, he's one of my YouTube friends, and you guys have heard me talk about him a lot, but he posted his update to his allotment today, and look at, I'm not gonna ruin it for you, it is brilliant, so go and watch and look out for the story about his marigolds and what his marigolds actually are. Oh, it's so funny. I laughed so much. Go and watch it. Right, anyways, so basically the big change in here has been the fact that I've now got heating. I've got one of these fan heaters in here, okay? Now, I'll put a link down below to, in fact, okay, guys, what I'm going to do, I know loads of you will ask about my tools that I was wearing today, my holster, the fan heater I'm talking about for the greenhouse and stuff. So if you go into the description of any of our videos, I've now put a web page that's got all of the gear on there that I use so that you can go and see what it's all about and stuff. It is affiliate links for Amazon, so if you buy anything from those links, Kate and I get a tiny little kickback, but you can just go and have a look and it gives you an idea, and then you can go off and do your own investigations and see if there's somewhere near you that you could buy it from that maybe would be cheaper, and you'd be helping a local supplier that way as well. But it's just there because you guys asked me so often, and I just thought it'd be handy if there's just a page that you can go to and get this stuff. Right, okay, so what else then? Because I'm just waffling today. I didn't want to make this a big long video. But the other thing is obviously my French tarragon and my basil. I grow in these chili grows, which is just the smaller version of the quad grow, but it does absolutely stupendously in these. Now, if I can show you, you will see there are a few holes in some of the basil leaves. It was getting munched. It wasn't the holes in the leaves like that. It was actually, it looked like it was earwigs. So I'm trying, okay, new this year, where is it? Right, so you guys know that last year I used neem oil to combat the earwigs because I had real problems with the earwigs eating my peppers. They were just boring little holes in all my bell peppers. So I used neem oil and it was brilliant, totally eradicated the problem. But the problem with neem oil is it stinks. It is horrible. So I'm trying something new at the minute and it is this. Right. So it came from Green Hand Organic and it is this, okay? It's called neem cake meal. So instead of it being the oil from the seeds of the neem plant, they actually grind up the seeds and husks and things and turn it into a powder. And you can put it in your pots, you can put it in your soil, but I have made a tea out of it, okay? And I'm trying that out. The benefit being, it doesn't solidify when it's cold, which the neem oil does and clogs up your sprayer. It doesn't go off the way the neem oil does. Neem oil you have to make up and use and then basically dump out the stuff you don't use because the active ingredient in the oil doesn't last. Also, it doesn't smell, which is a big thing for me. So I'm trying that out in here and I will let you know how that goes. But yeah, neem cake meal, and I've made it into a tea. April is an exciting time for us in the garden. It's when things start to come alive. But May, June is when it really gets colourful. So look out for the May and June monthly garden updates. Oh yeah, and before I forget, remember and do that whole YouTube thing. Hit the subscribe button and the like button and the wee bell and all of that stuff, because the algorithm loves it basically, and we're all a slave to the algorithm.